Hello and welcome to the Awkward Conversations podcast. Today's episode is Conan Visser. Conan Visser is a really entertaining TikToker who has done some extraordinary challenges. Recorded on TikTok, but it's all actually going into a documentary series which he is creating. So he's done 30-day challenges for alcohol, where he's drank alcohol every day for 30 days. He's done KFC, eating KFC for 30 days. He's done carnivore, so he's eating meat every day for 30 days and only meat. He's done vegan, so he went vegan for 30 days. And he's got a few more challenges in there as well. So kind of the similar vein to Super Size Me with Morgan Spurlock. I don't know if you remember those documentaries. So he's done these challenges. They've had quite profound impacts on his physical and mental health. But he also does it in like a really funny way, and it's really entertaining, and he shares absolutely everything, like parasites in his bowels. He'll take videos of him getting colonics. You don't see it from the goal end or anything like that, but you get, he takes you through everything, and he actually did get a parasite quite recently there. I think that was from taking from eating raw meat maybe, but I'm not sure where I got it from. But yeah, he records absolutely everything. He's really entertaining. Brilliant interview. It's really quite inspiring. He's big into, saying he's going to do something, and then because he's publicly stated it, it holds him accountable. So like he does crazy stuff like doing like 10-day water fasts. So he literally only drink water, maybe sometimes a bit of salt water to keep up his nutrients or whatever. But yeah, he will literally only drink water for 10 days. That's it. So the man is willpower to burn. Hugely impressive guy, really entertaining to talk to, quite inspiring to talk to. So this week's episode's really good. You'll enjoy it. And if you like it, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube, or subscribe to us or follow us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Hi, Conan. How's it going?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, great, man. Great. I'm excited to talk to you.
This is crazy timing. Like, I literally just got off the phone and just sat down. I haven't eaten pretty much all day, so I've just got smoked salmon for carnivore.
Oh, great. Give us a bit of an insight into your diet at the minute.
Yeah. Mate, you go with the questions. I'll let you know.
Yeah, sure, man. Well, look, thanks for coming on the podcast. My co-host isn't available, but that was my fault because I stuffed up the times. But look, I suppose I have lots of questions, but I think one of the first ones for our audience who mightn't be as familiar with what you do online. Are you okay to tell us just a bit about what it is you do and how you've got to this point? Bit of a big question there, isn't it?
I'm just for statistic purposes, and for me, just because everything that you do, if you're trying to do something in the entertainment industry, in order, like, the best way to raise awareness for anything is to combine entertainment and education. And in order for me to get the best knowledge, I'm interested to hear what your interpretation of what I'm doing is. And then I can tell you what things that I think you've missed, but that they obviously what I've missed based on the lack of what I've shared, if that makes sense.
Okay, awesome. Well, I think what struck me about what you do is you set yourself these really difficult challenges. Some of them may be more difficult than others. Some of them insane challenges, like the alcohol one. Like, I couldn't believe that one in particular. I think I would struggle with the most. Because I think, what I find, and I'm jumping off into a tangent here, but just while it's in my head, I find it really interesting that your mental health was fine during the alcohol part, but during the vegan part, you felt like it was really quite mentally taxing.
Yeah, that there's a lot of what I learned with why. Now, the reason, like, if you look at okay, for your viewers and everything, let's just quickly go. I'm doing basically, if anyone remembers the documentary called Super Size Me, where the guy ate McDonald's for 30 days. Now, I'm basically doing what he's done, but on a the scale's 12 times the size. So I'm eating, I started off eating nothing but KFC for 30 days, then drank nothing but alcohol, but obviously ate for 30 days. Then I did vegan for 30 days. And then now I'm doing carnivore for 30 days. And I do water fasting in between to get my body back and my mind back and everything like that. I was the most scared of alcohol for my mental health, the most scared. And that's why I was like, I want to get it over and done with to start with, because I knew every single one of the diets, like even though there's the 4 I've listed, I've still got McDonald's, Hungry Jack / Burger King. I've still got Subway, Boost Juice, Domino's Pizza, live off $5 a day. This documentary is not designed to find the healthiest diet. It's to show the effects of commonly used bad things. So I knew that my mental health and my physical health would decline. So I wanted to get alcohol done as soon as possible. And obviously, like, the best thing in Australia was getting it done in December, which is party season. So I had the most friends drinking, and I suffer from depression. And I knew that if I just drank at home alone, I would have had depression and the black dog. So I was like, okay, December's a good time. The most people are out. I was out 5 days a week out of the 7. I spent over $10,000 because in Australia, the average drink is $10 to $12 per vodka. And when you're out from 10 a.m. till 10 p.m., that's only 2 to 3 drinks an hour. That's actually not much alcohol. So I spent a lot, but obviously it's like, did I want to risk having the black dog, or did I want to just spend more money and get the doco done? Because the doco wasn't about how much money you spent. It was about the effects of alcohol. And when I was not many, and this is why you can't compare my experience in alcohol to anybody else's, because I've never in my life drank for work. I've never drank to help people quit alcohol. And I don't know anybody that's ever done what I've done in terms of alcohol. So when over the course of 30 days, I had what I counted, and I know that most people wouldn't have told me, but I counted over 250 direct messages of people saying, I'm quitting because of your doco.
Oh, wow.
When you wake up after a big day and a big night, I'm waking up to, oh my God, this has changed my life. I've quit. I'm on cloud 9. So I'm exercising, I'm training, and I'm like, this is actually for a good reason. And because it's never for a good reason, that's why I was on such a high, because my expectation was I'm going to struggle. And I was waking up like this. So I was on the biggest high from it. So you can't compare my experience to a normal person's experience that is an alcoholic. And I really want to make that clear, but it also, it cemented in how I can relay a message to others to go, well, if your why aligns with your core values and there is purpose behind your why, and it goes the same for work, relationships, sex, money, anything, whatever you're doing, if your why is good, the experience is going to be amazing. But if your why is bad, the experience is going to be bad. So I learned a lot about myself to do with that. But I guess maybe that's why, and I'm just coming to the conclusion now, maybe that's why vegan was maybe 10 times worse, because my why for doing vegan is my mother is vegan, and I needed it to go well. The doctors are like, do vegan now. You need it for your liver and kidneys. You need it for your body. It's going to be amazing for you. And when it didn't go amazing, but I actually really, really wanted to raise awareness and use the platform to raise awareness. And then when I started to struggle and the vegan community made it worse for me and they kicked me while I was down, that got to me. And normally negative comments don't get to me, but because of my why in wanting to do good for a community that ended up kicking me, it affected me more. If that makes sense.
That's interesting. Just to jump back to one of your points, you mentioned obviously about having depression. Have you got kind of a safety net in place for yourself? Like, do you go to counseling, or do you have like a good way to measure how you're doing whilst you're doing these challenges to make sure you don't?
I do, but what's relative to me is probably not relative to the real world when it comes to fighting something like depression. So if I could give advice, what I'm doing I'm filming every day. I'm journaling every day. I'm doing video journals. So when you're doing journaling and you're doing video journals, you become aware of the situation extremely quick. So I can get depressed for 1-2 days and then notice it and get out of it.
Yeah.
And knowing I'm not training twice a day. I'm not doing my meditation. I'm not leveling out. I'm not doing the things that I need to do to get out of it. Whereas in normal life, I could sit in a depressive state for 4 to 6 weeks. Whereas in this state of journaling every day, video journals, and writing it down, I'm becoming more aware of it a hell of a lot faster.
See, that's interesting that actually the process of doing this by recording everything is a way to check in on yourself. I suppose that's I suppose the whole point of it, but it's interesting that that's actually got the added benefit of being able to keep on top of the mental health side of things.
Oh, 100%. I never knew the power of journaling until I did this. And I was like, oh, this is why people that have been through the ringer or been through really bad struggles, this is why they journal. I was like, now I get it.
Yeah, like you can really get caught up in the busyness of life and just, stuck in your routines and whatever else. And you can really have a very poor perception of how you're doing on a day-to-day basis until things really get bad.
Oh, 100%. It's like I used to be a PT, right? And you'd start training a new client that wants to lose all this weight. And the biggest drama they'd have is they'd make all these life changes and they wouldn't lose weight fast enough. And I was sitting there going, but it took you 6 years to realize that you're overweight and you slowly gain weight over 6 years. Why are you trying to reduce that over 6 weeks? It's like we don't notice when things are going bad, and they can go bad for a long time. Like we hang around the wrong people. We're eating the wrong stuff. We're consuming mentally the wrong things that are making us depressed and angry.
Oh, it's like, I love TikTok. It's great. It's really cool. It's given me the opportunity to talk to some really interesting people, including yourself. But God, it is a rabbit hole. Like, when you start flicking, it's so hard to get out of it. Like those app designers, they are geniuses and terrorists at the same time. Like,
like anything though, if you make a content, like I'll give you an example. If I'm on TikTok and I'm scrolling through because I'm bored, but I'm also looking for ideas for content and how to make things more entertaining, I want to watch the pimple popper thing. But I know if I watch that, it's going to show me more pimple poppers. So I'm like, go. So you've also got to make a conscious decision going, if I tell the app that I'm interacting with something, it's going to show me more of it. So I'm like, shit.
It's so true. It's so true. A friend of mine, like, she's not a lesbian, but for whatever reason, she watched a video on lesbians and it's just all lesbian TikTok. And she loves it and finds it really interesting, but it's just like, it's, it's just, that the app
showing
really does
you what you've interacted with.
Yeah.
So we can't demonize social media for it just picking up on our behaviors really well. I mean, we just got to go, let's take control and accountability of our own emotions, how we respond to something, but then how we react to something.
Did you see that documentary, Social Dilemma? Yeah, what'd you make of that?
I thought it was doing the job that I thought social media is doing the job it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm sick of we're all looking for something to blame rather than taking accountability and going, hey, I responded to something and that's why it's giving me more. Like, I personally love it when they go, hey, you searched on Google or you're searching Facebook or Instagram for how to, remember when I went through the vegan, and at the end I had 30 pimples. I'm searching how to fix it. Then the internet and all social media is giving me remedies. I'm like, thank God, I don't even have to do the research. I'm grateful for it. It's giving me what I want to see. Obviously, once I fixed it, then I'm like, okay, I need to give the algorithm something else to show me because I'm sick of seeing this. But, I think it's great.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think like on a political spectrum, I think that the internet is a really good way to share information. It's a really good way to obviously share misinformation if that's the purpose. But I think there was plenty of misinformation before the internet, and like,
Oh yeah, 100%. Just look
you
at the
know,
media.
like there were local myths and local ideas that people would, that if you and I were in the same town and you had an idea about something and you repeat that idea to me and I repeat it back to you, and everyone in the town just starts, the myth develops over time. But I think the internet's quite good at if you want to find out the facts, you can, kind of thing.
Oh, this is one thing I'm very mindful of. When I did KFC, I did a lot of research on the effects of bad diets and what they do. And when you've got big fast food chains, when they're making their recipes, they make sure that they don't add in enough fiber. And they don't add in enough fiber so that you have like an insulin and a dopamine spike. And when dopamine crashes, your insulin stays up, and therefore you get hungry faster, therefore you eat more. And that to me was very valuable. But then when I researched and I was going through vegan, I mean, if I wanted to see if the earth was flat, I can find out that the earth is flat. And then I can find out that it's not. And in vegan community, what I noticed is the vegan industry has now been somewhat, this is what I've heard, I don't know, but I've heard this, I'm very mindful of it, but the scientific community has been bought, just like when sugar blamed everything on fat. When the sugar industry went, hey, it's all fat's fault, and they got all the doctors to do everything, that's now happening in vegan and carnivore. And I went, okay, I want to stay out of this conversation and not release any studies, because there's studies from scientific and university, and then there's a study from another one. They're all contradicting. How about I just stay in my lane and report on what happens to me? Because I didn't want to enter that controversial rabbit hole of abuse either way.
I think that's a very sensible approach to it. Did you see that documentary, That Sugar movie? Great Australian documentary. Yeah, I loved it. I was actually living in Australia at the time that it came out. I went to go see it in the cinema in Melbourne Film Festival, and then I'm a teacher.
Really? Where was it released? How long ago was this?
I couldn't tell you the year, but I lived in Australia from 2012 to 2017. And it was maybe 2013, 2014, something like that. It was great. And then we had a showing of that film in school. I asked the principal, could we show it to the parents and the kids? And we got a pretty good turnout.
That is so cool. I hope to get my doco there one day. I know it will, where you can be like, because so many people go, why are you doing this? This is stupid. You're killing yourself. And I was like, but you don't you don't look back at Super Size Me or the Sugar Film or something like that and then go, oh, these guys did the wrong thing. You're like, oh my God, this is so educational. It's just, nobody's ever done it and beta tested on TikTok or on social media to realize what people respond to and what they don't. So the public scrutiny while you're doing it triggers a lot of people. And that trigger of, I noticed something, I love watching how society responds to things. And I don't like using the word society, but it's the easiest way to explain it, but how the masses respond. And what I've noticed is when you're doing something bad to yourself, the viewer feels better about themselves than you. So they don't verbally or keyboardily bash you for it. So KFC, and I even had people go, what you did for KFC is fine, but you really should have researched carnivore. I was like, no, I don't research anything before I go into it because I don't want to have a preconceived theory. I want to go into it and then go, this is what happened. Yeah. And then this is what I need to do. It's better for me and it's better for the audience. Like if I went into vegan having B12 and all these vitamins, it's not giving a true representation of the diet. Whereas and same as going into carnivore, it's like going into carnivore and then going smashing fiber and smashing super greens and all this kind of stuff. It's like, I'm kind of cheating.
Yeah.
It's like, why don't I just eat that? And then I'll report what my bloods say. But then I noticed if you look at KFC and alcohol, the comment section, which I thought, especially alcohol on an app, full of angry mothers saying you shouldn't be showing this to my kids. Mothers and fathers and anyone of LGBTQIA plus, I just don't want to be cancelled. Anyone saying you shouldn't be doing this. I thought that alcohol would have got the most hate, and it got no hate. And then you bring up vegan and you're looking at 45% of hate, but it's coming from the vegan community. And then your carnivore is getting very vegan like.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I think I'm not vegan, but maybe from growing up, maybe in a slightly backwards. We're not the most forward thinking. I'm based in Belfast in Northern Ireland, and like, you know, vegans would have had the piss taken out of them big time. And you know, it's like, oh, why do you want to eat? That's rabbit food. You know the old joke. Oh, that's rabbit food. It's like, so I think they've had such a tough time having to defend their position. You know, it almost probably makes them a bit more militant or a bit more touchy about it. But no, yeah, I was curious about. So I'm curious, and I don't want to get into the weeds too much, but I'm curious. So you did the alcohol, the 30-day alcohol, and then you did a water cleanse for 7 days. Is that right, or 5 days?
I'd have to go back and look at it. I think after KFC I did 7, and then after alcohol I did 5, and that's because I felt like I got all the results I needed after 5. But then also it was my birthday, so we went to like a music festival and all that kind of stuff and that kind of thing. And then after, but I didn't start vegan until all my bloods were back to normal.
And what was that sort of time frame?
I think it was 3.5 weeks between alcohol and vegan. Now, the benefit you've got with a male's body, a male's hormones resets every 24 hours. So we can bounce back from stuff like this very quickly. But we can't make a baby in our stomach, and we will never have that connection ever that a mother has to a child, ever. But we can bounce back very quickly. So you can't compare. It's hard because a lot of people are saying, no, it takes you longer. And it's like, no, you can get your blood, like our body repairs so quickly. It's not even funny. And the easiest way to show that is by doing, if we're 70% water, why don't we think just feeding it water is going to do the best job in the world? And you give the liver and the kidneys an actual break instead of breaking down everything that's coming in. They're like, okay, it's time to heal. And they're used to healing when we sleep during that fast until we break fast, which is breakfast. Until we break fast, that's the only time they really get to heal. Other than that, they're digesting food and alcohol and fluid. So that if we can repair so quickly in a 6 to 8 hour period, what do you think is going to happen over 6 to 10 days? It is astronomical how quick. Like, you can look at my skin come good, my weight, my energy, my mental health, everything. And then I go back into like a balance. What I like is like a keto after that. And I wait a week. And if not, I'll wait another week. I'm back to normal.
Yeah.
Bloods don't just come down and then, you start eating yeah.
And do you think, so you did the 3 weeks between that, and then you went into the vegan diet. And how long did you say in the vegan diet that you felt your mental health was starting to decline?
The first 15 days of vegan, I was on cloud 9. It was the only one except for water cleansing. You look at like day 5 of KFC, skin breakout. I started to feel bad, like real early. Alcohol, skin broke out first week. Like the effects happen quickly. Vegan, it was amazing for the first 15 days. Day 16 just started to decline and decline and decline. And I had like the worst acne of my life. My energy kept declining. My depression was, I'm talking, I was back where I was and probably the pits of where I've ever been.
Jeez.
And my strength was gone and my physical ability. Like, I've done world records of stair climbing with 46 kilometers of stairs in 29 hours. And I did a 185K foot race, and I went for a run along the beach and I couldn't go a kilometer. And it didn't happen till week 3 of vegan. And, when everyone's turn around going, well, that's because of the alcohol in the KFC. It's like, no, we tested everything and I was back to normal from then. I wasn't cleansing from that. I cleansed straight after. It was, vegetables have defense chemicals. They're not designed to be eaten every day, because when you eat a vegetable, right, there's a difference between fruit and vegetable. Fruit wants to be eaten every day because we consume the seed, then we put the seed out in our waste. Generally, it used to be on the ground. That would grow more seeds through fertilizer. It would grow more plants. That doesn't happen with a vegetable. A vegetable doesn't regenerate through our waste. They don't want to be eaten at all. So it has defense chemicals. And if you look at like what I ate, I did a post of what I ate. I ate a lot of the same stuff. I ate a lot of avocado, and we think the mate actually became allergic to avocado. That's what the skin breakout and all that kind of stuff is from. We think that's what happened.
Yeah, I actually took one of your recipes and I kind of changed it slightly.
But the wrap?
Yeah, unreal. Yeah, unreal.
Yeah. How good is it?
Yeah,
I was just like, this is amazing.
Yeah, like I threw some chicken in there because I had it. Yeah. So, what have you learned about it? Like, do you think you'll make any adaptations to your diet, like once this is all said and done? Like, have you learned anything that you think actually this could, work really well into my diet, or are you so far into these routines you've forgotten what your diet was like before?
No, don't forget, I used to be a personal trainer. And I wrote a book on nutrition, and I lost 45 kilos, and then I kept it off for 10 years. I found what works for me already. So going back into it, I think what I've learned more about myself and how I respond to stress, and how my mental health and my stress and how I respond to stress is related to what I'm eating at the time. I've learned more about if I'm going through a good time or a bad time, to not be looking for alcohol to escape or something. I've learned a lot more on, okay, now it's the time to eat perfect. If I'm going through the worst time of my life, I need to be eating the best in my life. I can't afford to have KFC for one meal or have a big Saturday night drinking. This is the time to stop drinking, to stop eating shit, so that I can deal with whatever stresses are going on in my life at the time. And as well,
that's interesting.
Like, I love the quote, this too shall pass. If things are good, this too shall pass. If things are bad, this too shall pass. So it's like, sometimes when things are going really good, don't ruin the good by celebrating with alcohol or bad food. And when things are going bad, don't escape with that either. Like, learn, because if you eat well when things are bad, you'll get out of it really well. You'll handle the stress well. Like, I'm talking, when I was eating bad, I would be, and then I was depressed, I would be triggered very easily.
Right.
Bad comments would get to me and they would affect me, and I would be triggered and I'd beat back to them. But when I go into a water cleanse, and I haven't released this because what you see on TikTok is only 10% of what I filmed, because I'm actually doing this as a full doco. But you'll see it in the doco. You'll see I was going through one of the most stressful times of my life. I was going through a lot of bad adversity, and I handled it very well on the cleanse, and I handled it very badly when I was going through the bad diet or the alcohol. So it shows I'm more aware of what I need to be putting into my body and what I need to be consuming now to deal with good and bad times. That's what I've learned.
That's very interesting. I think a really important takeaway from anyone who's listening, maybe struggling at the minute, that the diet really can impact on, how you're doing.
Well, we really don't. We underestimate it. Everyone underestimates it. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest things was food was worse than alcohol, and people don't believe that. Food was worse for me than alcohol was, because every meal got worse. Like, if you look at, and I don't want to promote alcohol or anything. I just think that we undervalue bad food. We undervalue the effects of bad food. So you look at KFC week 2.5 into 3, every meal got worse. There was no high at all. It was just, I was just going bang, bang, bang. My sex drive went down to the point like I was dating someone with a higher sex drive and I was not feeling like it because the food made me not feel like anything. People were calling me, friends were trying to catch up. I didn't want to do any of that because every meal made me feel worse. I was crawling into a hole. I know that I need social interaction with other people in order to be happy. If I don't talk to people for 5 days, I'm starting to get depressed. And the food made me want to do that. Whereas, and I don't want to be promoting alcohol, but the difference of why food is worse than it is alcohol made me want to socialize. Food didn't.
Right.
So I think we need to give more respect to the positive and especially the negative of food, because we demonize alcohol and we demonize smokes and we demonize something like that. And I think we demonize it to get away with eating badly. We need to put more respect into food. Yes, alcohol is a very bad thing and it results to a lot of bad stuff, both physically and mentally. But I think if we're going through something, focus more on the food, as well as the alcohol. We don't need any more focus on alcohol. We already know. It's like, we don't know how bad food is.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, it's crazy how profound it is. When you look at they talk about like gut bacteria and having healthy gut bacteria and how it can affect. Like I've got ADHD and
yeah, so do I.
Oh, do you? Oh, awesome.
Yeah. That's why you can hear me.
Yeah. Yeah, and like they say, the diets, the gut bacteria in particular, they did fecal matter transplants in a couple of kids, and they found that it had quite a profound, longer lasting impact on the ADHD symptoms. And I think it was that improvement in their gut bacteria, which you get from a good diet anyway.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, the gut, what do they say? The gut's the second brain, isn't it?
Yeah. Is there anything, and I find alcohol is horrific for my ADHD, as in like the next day, I really struggle to get myself going and doing what I need to do. Is there any of the diets were good or bad, or anything helped with your ADHD?
They say a lot of stimulants have a bad effect on things like ADHD because you're already operating so high. If you give it more high, it sends you down further. Now, to be realistic about alcohol or stimulants or anything when it comes to ADHD, or if you already operate at a high level, obviously we all want to kind of live a balanced life and a normal life. And some people want to socialize with friends and they do want to enjoy it. I notice for me, I don't if I wake up in the morning and I get straight up and I go exercise and I just start my day, I'm still on a massive high. My ADHD still operates high. But if I lag around and I don't get out of bed and I lounge around, then I get into the depths of anxiety and depression. And that's where I notice ADHD is affected worse. But if I just get up and I'm like, all right, go have a shower, I just go for a walk, I go find hill sprints and I do hill sprints, even though they hurt 10 times more, I know that after I'm going to feel 10 times better and then I can operate. I don't give myself a time to get down there. Then it's not so bad. It's just getting up and going.
100%. I'm exactly the same as you. If I get all my exercise done in the morning, start my day right, it makes a massive impact to the rest of my day. I also find,
but especially after alcohol.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's it. Like, it's just talking yourself into doing it when you're hungover and not loving life.
Don't give yourself time to think. You do Nike. You just do it. You just go, all right, gotta go. Shoes on, bang, bang. You're out the door and you're like, this sucks. Oh, I've got to keep going.
Well, it's true, man. It's so true. Like, I'd say a good few months ago now, I had a really big night the night before, and I was supposed to meet my friends for a run. I was like, oh, I'm not going to do this. And I looked at my phone and there were messages saying, we're meeting in 5 minutes. So I had no choice to really think about it. I was like, oh, geez, I'll get up here. I threw my clothes on me. We did like a mega run and it was great. Like, so I need to definitely
just remind yourself of that. every
Yeah.
time. Oh
Yeah.
shit, gotta get up and go.
Yeah. Um, the with the documentary that you're filming, how are you like? Are you a one-man band, or have you got guys behind the scenes that are doing it, or how's that? What's that looking like for you?
I have some when I need it. I about 3 years ago, no, 3 or 4 years ago, I filmed a TV show for 2 years, and that's yet to be released. It'll probably be released in what I'm guessing 5 years now. And I had a 4 cameraman crew, a sound person, and then we had a director on some and not on others. And I learnt so much on what was a waste of time and what wasn't. And then I've spent a lot of time consuming enough content and then watching, okay, cool. We're in the best time in the world ever to create content ever. We've got more streaming platforms than ever before, and content is king. Content is king, and the need to be perfect is not there anymore. The need for the content to be good and to be a very good storyteller, to be able to get your B-roll shots when you need, which you don't need a film crew to do. I just set stuff up on a GoPro on a stand and walk into the hospital. That gets my B-roll of what I need. I don't need a camera guy to do that. I just set it up, walk in, and then I walk back, grab the camera, go. I don't need a crew for that. I make sure that piece to cameras are good and clear. I make sure that my interviews are good. But then you even look at like productions like Impractical Jokers, who have just sold. They've just sold to all the streaming networks. Have a look at half of their stuff. Most people are blurred out.
Yeah.
Since when did you ever think you could get on Netflix or a streaming service and have people blurred out that are characters? The need for it to be perfect is not there anymore. The need for it to be real and raw is higher because now as consumers, we're so used to YouTubers and we're so used to Snapchat that the need for it to be authentic and the need for it to be entertaining is above the production value, because a very high production value almost says this is fake and set up, and people don't believe it.
It's funny you should say that about being authentic and entertaining and how important that is. Yeah, like we've Kieran and I, my co-host, we've been interviewing politicians here, and it's quite quite hard to get, you know, like they kind of they're using this a little bit as a party political broadcast, which I don't blame them. That's their job and that's what they should do, and rightly so, and that's why they're coming on the podcast, and we're appreciative of that. But it can be quite challenging if they turn around to you and say afterwards, oh, actually, I need that last part cut out. And because we want to work with people, we're not going to screw anyone over. We always give them that right, because you know the internet's a brutal place. People take what you say out of context and just yes, we always work with them. But yeah, man, like trying to get some authenticity, it's hard. And generally, they're authentic people, but they have to sheen over. You know, they have and we're
but even we do
election.
now. Even we do. Like you look at an app like TikTok, and you're looking at, if I look at the history of social media, and I look at what's happened in TikTok in the last 2 years, we've probably got 12 to 18 months left of this platform. Sadly. Yeah. You look at, I can't say MEAT on that platform anymore. I can't say FASTING on that platform anymore. It is not long until, if you want to draw attention, you can't do anything that actually draws attention because it's so regulated.
Yeah.
We are entering a very scary time in terms of freedom of speech on apps and stuff. So I understand where politicians are coming from, because there's so much they can't say. And you know, I enter into I want to film a documentary. I'm not so worried on the doco, but I'm very worried on TikTok. I'm very worried as I expand to YouTube and Facebook on what I can and can't say, because at the end of the day, what's going to sell my doco is the data from TikTok, and is the data from YouTube, and is the data from Facebook. If I can keep my views going on TikTok for the next 12 months, I'll be selling my doco with 150 million views. and going, this is what people respond to, this is what they don't. But if I don't act within the parameters of that,
Yeah.
I'm not going to get the views. Because if you look at one of my posts from like in the last week, I mentioned MEAT. I've never done a post so bad in my life, and it's not bad. I was like, oh, now I've mentioned the wrong thing. So, but also now I'm getting bad data. I'm not getting what the public have seen. I'm getting TikTok that have said I'm not putting you onto the For You page because I said a word. So we're entering in a tricky time.
And are there videos which blow up more than others that you think, I did not expect this to go like as bananas as it?
If you watch any of my videos, I put in so much editing, and I'll even put in snippets of other things to make it entertaining. I'll put a song lyric in it. I'll make sure in and around my mouth is in there somewhere. I just want to make people laugh. And in the last 3 weeks, I just put my phone against the mirror and just went, look at my face. And it's at like 600,000 or something. No editing, no nothing. Just put it up. I'm sitting there going, God damn it. Well, at least I know skin's a very hot topic. Still.
Oh man. So I'm gonna start a water fast. I'm starting today. It's like only 9:30 here in the morning. Yep. What, any advice for me, or
why are you doing
it? Because I want to see if I can do it, because I've tried a couple of times, and then by lunchtime I'm like, oh fuck this, I'm gonna eat like whatever I want. But
so is it, no, what's the result you want? You just want to see if you have the mental capacity to do it, or are you doing it for weight, or are you doing it for autophagy? Like, why are you really doing it?
Curious to see if I can do it, and then if it's something I can do to kind of regulate my weight. But it's like, I'm not overweight, a tiny bit of a belly on me. Like, I used to be a bit leaner, but I'm not, I'm not one of these people who also is very overweight. So I'm not really overweight. Like I'm legit. Like I'm actually,
I can see that.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I just want to see if I can do it, to be honest, because the amount of times I've said I'm going to do it, and then I just end up bottling out at lunchtime because I'm like, I am absolutely starving. How do you manage it, or what way did you?
Well, so the reason I asked why, because remember how I said about the alcohol and the KFC, the why was the most important. So if you're just telling me what you want me to hear and it's not your real why, my advice is not going to be good. But if your why is really what you're saying, make it 100% a mental battle. That's it, right? Every single time. Let's say, how many days you want to go for?
I don't know. Like, it's my first time, so I don't know. That's what I was going to maybe ask you.
Okay, so the first time I ever did, I did 10 days, but that's because I had a parasite in my stomach.
10 days.
Right. And I just so happened to stumble across a nutritionist who just said, Conan, give a water F a go, because you just starve the parasite, have nothing to survive off, and you'll kill it. You'll get rid of it. And I'd been through 12 months of antibiotics that floored me, couldn't get rid of it. I was like desperate. I'm like, yep, cool, I'm going to do it. And I heard a really good mate of mine did a 10-day. And I heard that Kelly Slater does a 10-day every 6 months. I'm like, screw it, I'm going to do that. Now, also, my friends told me about the mental benefits. Let's say if you go for 10 days, I recommend always doing anywhere from 6 to 10, because autophagy doesn't start until day 4, and the first 3 days are hell. And if I'm going to go through hell, I want to have some fun in heaven. I don't want to go through hell and then quit at day 3. And I never realized that the euphoric energy it's like you're on a drug. And honestly, you can't explain it. Nobody could ever experience it. It happens. But when you're day 4, day 5, you are just cloud 9. You have so much energy, it's not funny. No one can make you angry, and the hunger pains start to dissipate, right? But you can't even fathom it. It just doesn't make sense to you, right? So because of that, I was thinking, if I want to go through 3, I might as well get the benefits of autophagy and the rest to go to 7 to 10. That's why I like them the most. And if you can go, let's say you go 10 days, I recommend maybe you do 7, but let's say you go 10. Let's say you get a hunger urge 7 times a day. That's 70 times that you have sustained from giving in to the devil on your shoulder. And the devil on your shoulder only lasts 5 to 15 minutes, I guarantee you. And generally, you'll find you'll be the hungriest, and that devil on the shoulders calling out to you the most when you're bored. When you are bored out of your brain, when you're sitting at home watching movie or watching TV and you get food. When you're the busiest, it doesn't bother you. So stay busy. It's like, okay, cool. Maybe instead of watching TV, I'll go for a walk. I don't recommend exercising, because to get autophagy the best, you don't want to be stressing out your cells, because you want the cells to be sitting there and then using those dead and damaged cells as energy. So you just go for walks. Get busy. Now, hot water helps. A bowl of hot water, you can put like chicken stock or something, just a stock or something in it. Hot water fills you up. But if you overcome the devil on your shoulder 70 times, what happens when you get off it? Are you going to eat the chocolate at 10 o'clock at night? No, I can overcome it. Are you going to, let's say you've got a friend's birthday Friday night, a friend's birthday Saturday night, but you want to go for a run and you've got heaps of things to do on a Saturday, you'll more likely stick to going, I'm just going to have one drink. And you won't give in to the devil on your shoulder or the peer pressure or that, that little devil that's sitting there going, do this. Or if you're trying to get to like a 6-month goal of work, you'll stop giving into that side that says do the bad thing, because you're so much stronger. Now, also, if you put yourself in more stressful situations to eat, go out to restaurants with friends, go out to cafes and catch up with people. Put yourself in the scenarios. And if you sustain and when you walk out of that restaurant and that cafe going, I didn't break my fast, your self-confidence and self-esteem just go boom, because you're like, I did what I could never thought I could do. So when you leave it, your self-confidence and self-esteem is so high. Therefore, resilience is a byproduct of that. So when people try to put you down or you get negative comments on your show or whatever it might be, nothing bothers you, because you overcome what you never thought you could ever overcome before. So you'll eat healthier, you'll achieve more goals, and you'll stop like self-sabotaging after it if you can do it. Now, so if you make the entire battle a mental game, every time you sustain from the devil on your shoulder during a fast, self-confidence, self-esteem rises, you'll feel better about yourself, right? But if it's all about weight, I didn't eat, and then you walk away, I didn't eat, I didn't get that, you feel worse. So if the reason's superficial, if the true why is superficial, you will struggle every 7 days and you will hate yourself and you will not get the euphoria from it. So the why is the most important.
Okay, see, that's really interesting. Yeah, you mentioned before about Kelly Slater doing it, and obviously you do it quite regularly.
Yeah. I do it more regularly than you should, but that's to reset from these crazy, stupid things that I'm doing.
What about like in terms of your, like, if you're not doing these challenges, how often would you do it? Would you incorporate like a once a week kind of thing? Are you a 16/8 kind of fast guy? Do you do it at all, or?
I like the Kelly Slater. I like every 6 months, 10 days. That's what I like.
And what does that do to your weight in that time?
Not much, because I generally stay about the same. I notice the biggest is if I'm slipping with my diet and I'm starting to eat things that I shouldn't, that react badly to me and make me inflamed, I'll notice that if I do a 10-day after 6 months, I'll lose a kilo or more a day. And that tells me that whatever I'm eating is making me super inflamed and making me hold and making me inflamed. I shouldn't be losing that much. And it shows how inflamed I am. And therefore, I notice if I'm super inflamed, my flexibility goes down. I'm a lot more tense within my body. If my body's more tense, my mind's more tense.
So your flexibility goes down. That's wow.
Your flexibility goes up. Like you're more flexible because your inflammation goes down. So your ability to stretch goes up.
Yeah. That's crazy. Like I'll be interested to try it. I might.
Well, you are trying it, aren't you?
yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah. So be interested to see how it goes. Yeah, I'll we'll try one day and see if I survive. Do you know what's like that baby steps?
I think you should message me. Message me and just go. Message me when you're feeling the worst, and I know what to say to get you to stick to it.
I know, but fuck, then I actually have to do it. Then Conan, that's yeah.
Okay, well, another thing. You know another thing, right? Don't you want to do it though? You say every time you try it, you fail. And I saw your energy and I saw the way you responded. You didn't feel good about yourself that you failed. So let's look at a thing that I do. I always go 6 months from now, am I going to be happy I did it, or am I going to be happy I quit? What do I want to say? I always think 6, 12, 18, 24 months. Where do I want to be? And when it comes to fasting, and trust me, I don't find every fast easy. The one after, I think it was one after vegan, I struggled with heaps. I don't know why, because I think at the end of vegan, my self-confidence and self-esteem was so low. My ability to deal with the fast was really hard. So I struggled with it the most, and I just kept going. In 3 months, am I going to give a shit that I fast this week or not? Do you remember 3 months ago, that week of eating? No. But are you going to remember, hey, I stuck to it or I didn't?
Yeah. Like, it's a fair point. And you're looking back on the accomplishment, aren't you?
Yeah. I was like, do I want to be proud of myself? What am I going to gain from this? Or am I going to go, hey, I set out to do something and I didn't? And then when you look at goal setting, one thing that Arnie did, Arnie, the bodybuilder, he would write on the whiteboard every single time he went to the gym. He would write the sets and the goal and the weight that he wanted to do. And he would make it so public that he felt ashamed if he didn't achieve it in the gym. So if you make a goal public, you will stick to it because you're worried about public ridicule that you couldn't.
It's true that, isn't it? When you proclaim something, you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to do it now.
I need to stick to it. It makes you accountable. It's like a lot of people like in that bodybuilding industry, if they're worried about their carbs or they're worried about a certain muscle group, like guys, they'll wear pants, whereas he was worried about his carbs, so he always wore short shorts. So he'd look at them every day going, build them, build them, build them. He would bring out all the things he wanted to work on and look at it every day.
Yeah, that's crazy. The one thing I was really keen to ask you about is your sleep. Because I did a low carb diet for a while, and my sleep was so poor that I ended up stopping the diet because I just was losing the will to live. Like I was like exhausted.
Losing the will to live? It's serious.
It was doing my head in. Like, and like I'm a teacher, so like my job is exhausting. And I remember at the time going, I'm like absolutely struggling big time here. Did any of those diets, like particularly I'm interested in the keto one or the carnivore? So the carnivore one, like, did it affect your sleep at all? Did you get the what do they call it, the low carb flu?
No, because I lost 45 kilos from keto. I'm very used to keto. They do say there was a guy by the name of Charles Poliquin. He was probably one of the best trainers in Australia, and all of his trainers that he trained are super lean. And he believed in very high meat, high protein, high fat, but a high carb meal right before you go to bed. And that was because of sleep.
Okay.
Because obviously if you have a high carb meal and then you go to bed, if you're asleep for 8 hours, it gives your body 8 hours to break down that meal that's very hard to break down. But it obviously, the carb meal lowers your cortisol levels as well and helps you sleep. Now, if you're not having that, you're suffering from the body operating at such a high quality that you've got a lot of energy. That's why you're struggling to sleep. Now, I personally thrive off no sleep. I'm the happiest when I'm sleeping the less and I'm training twice a day and I'm working the most. It's not the most sustainable, but I'm the most happy because I've got the most purpose in life and I'm operating on such a high. But I also got addicted to that. And I know that I got addicted to having sleep, being an insomniac. And it's very hard for me to come off that. That's something I've been struggling with for like 15 years. Because when you're an insomniac, you achieve so much more than what everyone else does because everyone else is sleeping. So it's like a drug. It is really like, because you're achieving so much. And then instead of being tired, you're on a high going, look what I can do, look what I can do. So one thing, alcohol was probably the biggest effect on sleep out of these diets, out of all of them. I slept quite a lot on KFC. I slept so on vegan, and I'm sleeping normal on carnivore. It was more alcohol. So if you've got your 4 sleep cycles, right? And I can't, like, there's, your first one, then you go in, then you've got like your REM and your deep. There's 4 different sleep cycles. I'm butchering it at the moment, but if you research the 4. What alcohol does, and especially if you're quite drunk, is it makes you miss the first 2 and you go straight into the deep. And then each cycle only lasts, I think, 90 to 120 minutes. So because you miss this 90 to 120 and this 90 to 120, you only go into that 90 and then you start waking up. So I was only getting like 4 hours of sleep a night. So I struggled with sleep the most because it bypasses some of them.
Yeah, it's interesting you say you only got into the deep sleep with the alcohol, because I would find that I don't dream if I have alcohol, like I don't dream. Yeah. When all this is over and the documentary has come out, is there,
and hopefully I'm still alive.
Hopefully you're still alive, like fingers crossed. Is there, I suppose that the what next is probably a rubbish question, because this is such a big project you're doing.
It's only 12 months.
Well, it's
only 12 more months.
12 very all-encompassing months, I'd imagine. You don't get much of a break.
No, I've had to take on more clients to make this sustainable. And then I've realized that the end for this social media is near. So I'm going more all in on it. I don't want to look back in 12 months and go, I could have went harder. So you'll see me a lot more on it, which means a lot less sleep. I'm struggling at the moment. I'm trying to find a balance, but where I want to go next is spending 30 days in different cultures around the world, and just documenting and living how all different cultures bring up their children and their families in both a medical, physical, and spiritual aspect, so that we can learn why is New Zealand the worst country in the world per capita for suicide. And then obviously Australia's very bad and America's very bad, but why a third world country's not? What are we doing what are we doing as a society when we bring up our kids to make them inadequate to deal with adversity? And then what are certain diets happening? Like you go out to like the Congo, or you go out to families that live off the ocean. Why are so many, like a family could have 6 kids and only 2 make it? And it's like, oh, because they don't have modern medicine and they die of measles and chickenpox, and what can they do? So I want to show the differences so that we can all learn from other societies, both on a mental and a physical aspect. And then I want to spend probably 3 or 4 years just going to, like, the First Nations people in Australia, and then New Zealand, and then, Bali and Thailand, and then through America and Mexico and Canada, and then go to like India, and then go to Pakistan, and go to Congo, and then go to like Africa, and then go all through Europe, and then go, so people can watch in this doco, similar to the way I'm filming this, where at the end of this, you'll be able to see week 1 of all the diets, and you can compare bloods, mental health, weight, skin, everything. And then you can compare all of that in 4 different week blocks, and then overall, but then you can also judge public scrutiny. Why did the public yell at me for this and not of that? And then I can break all that down, which is super interesting, right? It's not only showing the mental health of our society, it's also showing our insecurities, right? But then I can do that on that. So I actually have the next 5 years. This is leveraging my ability to do the next.
That's awesome. I just like, it's quite inspiring, like that you're taking something that you're really interested in doing and doing it. And that's kind of what we, my co-host and I, what we're doing with the podcast is we want to talk to interesting people. I love talking to interesting people, and like talking to you today, genuinely has been just like inspiring and interesting. And
thank you.
Yeah, man. So 100%, like your TikTok's definitely brighten my day, and remind me that I can have a go at these things too. And after
Yeah,
talking,
mate, if you ever, mate, please reach out. Reach out. I love helping other creators and be like, hey, I invested a lot of time into worrying about the first 5 seconds of a hook. And then did I put entertainment or comedy, or how did you edit something to get the best attention to get it going? Because one thing I've learned about documentaries now is what documentaries worked 20 years ago, they need to have entertainment plus education now, whereas before it was all education, but then a lot of documentaries are generally doom and gloom. This is something bad that's happening, where I'm trying to like add comedy and make it funny and, have highs and lows and all that kind of stuff. So it's like evolving ourselves as entertainers like yourself. How do we make this super entertaining but still get the message across? And that's like, if you look at a creator like Dave Chappelle's actually not a comedian. If you really watch him, he's a public speaker that talks about things he's super passionate about, and he just puts a punchline in to make you laugh. And that's how he gets to a greater audience. So I'm trying to do something similar. I'm obviously a long way off, but I'm like, how do I put in a punchline? How do I do this?
no, man, it's great. You're like your TikToks are hilarious and they're brutally honest at times. And I think a lot of people wouldn't be willing to put out what you put out. So I think that's what makes you stand apart.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. I'm trying to do that more again. I lost my way in vegan. I got a bit grumpy and I lost it all. And people brought that to my attention. I was like, well, that shows where I was mentally during that.
Yeah, yeah. Like our kind of hook or whatever, like our thing here in this podcast is Kieran, my co-host. He's very funny and he will take the piss out of me all the time. And that kind of will be having a really serious conversation with like, a politician or whatever. And then and Kieran will say something ridiculous about me. And that'll kind of, so we're going to try and stitch those into our TikToks and stuff. I actually haven't set up our TikTok yet, which is very remiss of me.
Need to.
Yeah. I'm gonna learn from you.
Yeah, mate. Please stay in touch, and then let's help each other as well. I think if you and your business partner on the podcast have really good banter, you two should live against each other from each other's houses. People love the banter.
Yeah, man, that's a good call. Like that is a good
really
call.
Good thing. Yeah.
See, the thing is, I'm not very quick to respond. Like 10 minutes later. Yeah, exactly. Actually, that's true. Like 10 minutes later, I'm like, I should have said that. I'm going to get him the next time.
Yeah, that's what make it awesome.
Yeah, man, 100%. So, look, thank you so much, and thank you for the advice. And like, I'll try not to interrupt your life too much by reaching out and going, "Oh my God, I'm going to eat my own arm."
Please reach out. Just lastly, if I could ask one thing.
Of course.
If you go back through, one of the most impactful parts that you said to me was alcohol. Can you remember some of the things that I might have done in alcohol that you don't see me doing now, and just go, hey, I really liked it when you saw that? Is there anything that you remember? Because I have changed and I'm trying to evolve it, but then I'm losing some of the things that were good. Can you think of anything, like what were the most impactful parts for you? Or were you just like a lot of the public that loved to see me go to hospital?
The going to hospital part genuinely was like that probably stuck out most in my mind. And when you're on alcohol, it's that kind of, you're being a bit of a dick, just doing something you shouldn't be doing, and it's kind of, you're leaning into that kind of, oh yeah, no, I shouldn't be doing this, but here we go, and this is what I'm doing. That's really endearing. So I think that's maybe trickier to do when you're on like maybe a super healthy vegan diet, although you were able to tap into that a wee bit when you were saying your mental health decline and you had some skin issues and stuff.
Yeah. If you look at my last post, actually, I only posted it before we got onto this, and I think it's going well, but I tried raw liver. I tried to cook liver and a raw liver, and
I saw that.
You saw that? I can't believe that the raw tasted better. I'm just sitting there like, what?
Like you shouldn't be eating liver full stuff. Liver is horrendous. Like, I don't know how you're doing it.
I don't know. It's just extremely good for you. Everyone's like, that's where the toxins go. It's like, no, that's what cleans the toxins. So that's the cleaner. If you look at primal animals like the king of the jungle and all like animals that eat meat, it's the king that gets the liver first.
Okay, yeah, right. Like, I'm still not gonna eat liver, but like, I'll take your word for it.
Well, I'm glad I could be the guinea pig for you.
Yeah. No, my mum, she kind of brought us up hating liver, because she would always talk about how horrendous it is, and she would never make it for us. And then one day we said, make it for us, and she made it, and it was just as bad as what she thought, or what she described. So,
Oh, that's so funny. All right, dude. Well, thank you so much.
thank you
Let's
so
stay in
much,
touch.
Conan.